What's up everyone, I'm Calamontoast, and in today's video I'm going to be revisiting the most insane GBL challenge I've ever attempted, where I'm going to try to win in the Master League Premier Classic Cup using Great League Pokemon. That's right, 1500 CP Pokemon taking on Pokemon that are well over 3000 CP. That's more than double the CP of the Pokemon that I'm going to be using, and yes, that is just as crazy as it sounds, but that's the kind of things we like to do on this channel. So if you appreciate this kind of content, then make sure you leave a like, hit that subscribe button if you're not yet subscribed, and with that being said, let's get into the team breakdown. So let me just start by saying that this is going to be an extremely difficult challenge, and there are so many Pokemon in the Master League Premier Classic Cup that we're just not going to be able to beat using Great League Pokemon. Metagross, Excadrill, Snorlax, they're all going to be too strong, or just too spammy, or just hit too hard that I'm not going to be able to beat them using Great League Pokemon. So I have to think really hard about what kind of team I am going to be able to hard counter all three Pokemon all the way throughout the battle. And the team that I came up with, that I've seen probably a handful of times, not super common, but this is probably the team that I'm going to have the best opportunity to beat with Great League Pokemon, and that's going to be Togekiss in the lead, Gyarados and Garchomp in the back. So that is the team I'm going to try to beat. So let's have a look at the Pokemon I've chosen to beat this team. So in the lead we're running Salazzle. With the poison and fire typing, it's able to double resist charm, so even at a Great League CP, if we run it with the poison jab and poison fang, we're going to be able to win all even shield scenarios up against Togekiss and up against any of the other charm users here in the Master League Premier Classic Cup. To take on Gyarados, we're going to be running Hisuian Electrode because that sub-grass typing does allow it to resist the waterfall damage, meaning we do comfortably win the 1 and 0 shield, although the 2 shield scenario is going to be very tricky to win, and it does look like we end up losing that matchup. But we will hope that they don't say swap into the Gyarados and they don't decide to double shield. And finally, to take on Garchomp, we've got our own Togekiss. Togekiss does double resist everything Garchomp throws in its standard moveset, although if they're spicy, they could be running Fire Blast, which would definitely take me out. But we're going to just assume that they're not going to run Fire Blast, and we do win the 1 and 2 shield scenario, just going straight for Charm Farm Down up against that Garchomp. So that's going to be the team I'm running. We can see that I do have mostly positive matchups in the even shield scenarios, but if we factor in my opponent swapping out of matchups, we have to be super fast, because if we stay in with a Salazzle, my opponent comes in with a Gyarados and gets just one waterfall off onto the Salazzle. That's going to do over 30% of Salazzle's health, so we have to be extremely fast when my opponent switches out to make sure that we do maintain enough health to maintain those matchups. But with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. What's the biggest flex win you've ever pulled off in Go Battle League? Maybe you pulled off an insane 2 shield flex up against your opponent. Maybe you brought 2 regular Pokemon and a 10 CP Caterpie to battle, and you were able to pull off an insane sacrificial swap on that Caterpie. Maybe you brought an Ultra League team to the Open Master League and you were able to win. Let me know in the comment section below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so heading into this first battle here, we lead into a Metagross, and there's absolutely nothing we can do here, so we're just going to exit straight away. You see, we went 0-5 in that set. That happened quite a few times with this challenge because there's so many Pokemon that we're just not going to be able to beat. We really need to hard counter my opponents in every stage of the battle. So here into the next battle, we lead into a Togekiss. My opponent comes in with a Dragonite. We're able to swap into our own Togekiss here, and you see these Dragon Breaths are really adding up because it's a 1-turn fast move. That does reach a breakpoint where it does a lot of damage, but they went for a Hurricane there, probably the only Dragonite left in the Master League Premier Classic Cup, still running Hurricane. We go for an Ancient Power up against the Togekiss. We come in with the Salazzle. We're going to go for a Poison Fang here. This should be getting the first shield from my opponent. My opponent stays in, they switch out into a Swampert. It's not the Gyarados we were expecting, but because of the sub-grass typing here, we might still be able to win this matchup. We do correctly shield up an Earthquake, which is perfect. We're going to go for the Energy Ball. Energy Ball gets shielded. We don't get the defense drop. We're going to go for a no shield here. We don't have any shields remaining. It's just a Hydro Cannon. We do survive it. We get to another Energy Ball. Is this enough to take out the Swampert? No, it is barely not, and they do Mudshot farm us down, and unfortunately they've got a Hydro Cannon here, so extremely close battle there considering it wasn't quite the team we were looking to take on. but we do lose that game. And now into the next battle here, we lead into a Gardevoir, not the Charmer we were expecting, but we will take it nonetheless. They swap into the Garchomp, so we do swap into the Togekiss, but you see they did manage to get 2 mud shots off onto that Salazzle, and that has now put it nearly into the half health range. They do land an Earth Power here, we're going to shut up this charge move, and we should be able to Charm, farm them down just before they reach the next charge move, and we are barely able to. We have a lot of energy here, we are only running Ancient Power and Aerial Ace here because I don't usually use these Charmers, so I didn't bother changing the moveset from whatever I had already. We do get a shield from the Gardevoir, which is perfect. They swap into Gyarados. I'm able to swap out before the damage registers, and this is actually a Dragon Tail Gyarados, so that is a legacy move. We do shield up the Aqua Tail, we go for a Wild Charge, and we should be able to get to 1 more Wild Charge before this Gyarados is able to farm me down, and we do get there. Does the Wild Charge take out the Gyarados? Yes it does. We one-shot the Gyarados. They come back in with the Gardevoir, and now it's just going to be a question of whether I can get to 2 Poison Fangs before they get to a charge move, and we are able to. We get to the second Poison Fang, and it looks like my opponent has decided to just rage quit here, and I don't blame them. They just got beat by a Great League team in the Master League Premier Classic Cup, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video, a bit of a shorter one, but I only had 2 battles that were even remotely close, so there was no point wasting your time trying to squeeze in a few more battles into this video. If you did enjoy it, then make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more challenge content like this in the future and you're not yet subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications so that way you're notified whenever I upload a new video. And with that being said, let's get into the shoutouts from my previous video. So firstly, we've got Mia Johansson, who says they don't really play the Master League, but the underrated Pokemon they came up with is Primarina. And now this kind of depends on what elo you're at, because I've heard a lot of people saying that at the higher elos around 2800s they do see a lot of Primarinas, but certainly at a lower elo it is not a very common Pokemon, and with that sub water typing it does take neutral damage from steel and can hit for super effective damage up against Pokemon like Excadrill, as well as absolutely dominating in matchups against Pokemon like Gyarados, which are for the most part quite safe in the meta. Next we got Mitchell Grabowski and Chick 2002, who both say that Avalugg is quite underrated in the Master League Premier Classic Cup because of that ice typing deals super effective damage against a lot of the flying types, and as well it does have a lot of bulk to it. And finally, we got Tommy, who mentions Milotic with Dragon Tail is very underrated. Similar to Gyarados, it is a water type with a Dragon type fast move, but it doesn't have that flying typing, so it's not weak to a lot of the Pokemon running rock coverage moves, which does make it a little bit better in that sense. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.